Good afternoon. I'm Michael Marsolek. Welcome to another live from Studio B session here at Montana Public Radio. Lucky to have in our studios this afternoon the cellist, a pianist, and the music director. It is another concert weekend in Montana, and the Missoula Symphony is performing this weekend, a concert called Dance. Saturday evening performance at 7:30, a Sunday matinee at 3 o'clock. Information at missoulasymphony.org. And wonderful cellist Amit Peled is with us, and of course, music director and conductor of the Missoula Symphony, Julia Tai, Christopher Hahn from the music department and the piano faculty at UM joining us as well. Welcome, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got a little music to play. We certainly have a concert weekend to go into in some detail. And Amit, I'm anxious to visit with you once again here on Montana Public Radio. And maybe before we get too far into things, play a little bit for us as we begin.
Sure.
What are you going to start with?
We'll start with The Swan by Saint-Saëns. It's always a good piece to start with and to say hello and welcome back to Montana for me.
The Swan. Music of Camille Saint-Saëns, performed live for us here in Studio B. Montana Public Radio cellist Amit Peled is with us at the keyboard for that piece, and joining us is Christopher Hahn as well. Always a beautiful piece. And a nice way to warm things up, I think. Very nice.
Yeah.
One more piece before we get a chance to visit maybe a little further?
Yes, sure. I'll play some Bach, and this is maybe a good occasion to mention the cello that I have today here, which is my new date for this visit. I feel like all the years that I've come to Montana, I always come with a different cello, and it kind of fits where I am in my life and my journey as a cellist. But this time, I'm here with a Storione instrument from 1780, and it's on a loan for me. It's a beautiful instrument It's a she, by the way, and I love her. And 60 years before this cello was made, in 1720, Bach wrote the first suite for cello solo. So I'll play the prelude of this suite to introduce Mrs. Storioni to the audience here in Montana.
Cellist Amit Peled playing live Bach Prelude for us here on Montana Public Radio. This is another live from Studio B session. I'm Michael Marsolek. Thanks for listening wherever you might be. Amit is with us this afternoon, as well as Julia Tai, music director of the Missoula Symphony. Christopher Hahn joining us on keyboard as well this afternoon. It is a concert weekend for the Missoula Symphony with performances tomorrow evening. The Saturday night performance is at 7:30 p.m. The concert on Sunday at 3 at the Denison Theater in Missoula. And again, MissoulaSymphony.org for information. Amit, before we began today, I was asking you this, and I think we figured out that you've played for almost every symphony orchestra, including the string orchestra of the Rockies in Montana, since that first trip in, what did you say, 2003?
Yeah, it was many years ago. It was, in fact, my first professional, quote-unquote, professional engagement when I started my career, when I got my job at Peabody. And one of the first organizations that invited me was the String Orchestra of the Rockies. And ever since, we've had great relationship of knowing the families of the musicians and my kids and family. And it's always so great to meet the musicians, not just in Missoula, but in other orchestras in Montana, because they play in many of them. And I just love this state and these people here, and it's really great. Chris also is a good friend. We did a tour with a car. We started in Missoula, and we somehow ended where?
Plains, we got Gonzaga, Superior.
Wow.
Yeah, we've done Whitefish. Yeah, we've been,
and
been all over, man.
Chris taught me how to really eat beef jerky in Montana.
I love that story.
Well, welcome back to Montana. It's certainly you're no stranger here, and I love the fact that as we're broadcasting this afternoon, folks listening around in various places around Montana, there's probably a number of the classical music fans that have seen you with one of our fine orchestras around the state. So
I hope so.
Your next chance is tomorrow and Sunday with the Missoula Symphony Orchestra. Julia Tai is here. This is the third Masterworks concert in the 70th anniversary season of the Missoula Symphony. You've entitled it Dance.
Yes.
And I love this. It's got a really wonderful variety of pieces about or feeling this wonderful dance movement. You've got music by John Adams and Brahms and Tchaikovsky, and also a piece by Anna Klein.
Yes.
You want to talk a little bit about the program?
Sure. Yeah, so the cello concerto that Amit's going to play with us is called Dance by Anna Klein. She's an up-and-coming composer, very prolific, and she wrote this beautiful piece, not an usual cello concerto in its form, but this piece has 5 movements, and it's based on a 13th century poet Rumi's poem, and it's the 5 movements are titled Dance when you're broken open, Dance if you've torn off your bandage, Dance in the middle of fighting, Dance in your blood, and the last movement is Dance when you're perfectly free. And so it's not your typical sense of kind of always exhilarating kind of dance, but dance when you have so much conflict within you, but how you bring the dance.
All from that Rumi poem.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes. And the piece is just gorgeous with soaring lyrical melodies. There are some of that struggle of a little bit of dissonance, but most of it is so beautiful and so approachable. I'm sure everybody could relate to the piece.
Wonderful. And you also have music by John Adams, the Chairman Dances, is that right?
Yes. So John Adams, another prolific American composer. This piece is a warm-up piece he wrote for his first opera, Nixon in China, documenting the first trip of American President Nixon in 1972 to China. And it's a fantasized storytelling of this occasion, of course. And so this piece is called Foxtrot for orchestra, and the chairman dances. So he's imagining the young Mao Zedong, dancing with Madame Mao, this foxtrot, and it's a very romantic piece. But of course, John Adams' very renowned minimalist technique. You hear this engine and repeated chords underneath, and just a beautiful piece.
Wonderful. And certainly a favorite, I would think, would be the Hungarian dances. Number 1 in G minor is what you have on the program. And there's a special piece of that, which is this is your annual collaboration with the Missoula Youth Symphony, right?
Yes. So
Talk about how that works. It's kind of a side-by-side thing, right?
Right. So this is the 3rd year we're doing a side-by-side with the Missoula Youth Symphony. We invite them to come and sit right next to our Missoula Symphony musicians, and they get to be on the big stage and play a piece, with a professional orchestra. And it's always such an eye-opening experience for them to be able to really hear what a great sounding orchestra is like and sit in the middle of it and be part of it. And so they are coming to play Brahms' Hungarian dances, which, it sounds so fun, but it's a challenging piece with lots of tempo changes, and they have to really practice the nuance and then work together as an orchestra. And so this is something we love doing every year, to give those young musicians a chance to come and play with the symphony, and hopefully there'll be lifelong musicians playing.
Chris, didn't you tell me one time that there's the piano connection with the Hungarian dances? Am I remembering correctly?
Well, they were originally piano works.
Written for piano.
Forehand.
Okay. For forehand.
Right.
I remember
they're dynamite. They're just an absolute blast to play.
Yeah.
It's the duets first, right?
Right.
I think I'm correct in
It
that.
was piano work first, and it was so popular, Brahms orchestrated for orchestra.
But to your point, even the duet is really, I can't even imagine how you're doing it with all those people. Like
With over 100
my
musicians doing every tempo changes.
Wow.
Oh, that's wild. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Sounds really fun. And you also have music by Tchaikovsky, Symphony No. 4 in the program as well.
Yes, Symphony No. 4, another magnificent piece. And Tchaikovsky called it the fate motif. You'll hear that beautiful fanfare by the horns and trumpets and trombones. Always fun piece to play for the brass. But I always also hear it as a waltz. When that theme comes, it's kind of a sad waltz with the bum, ba bum, 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 ba bum. So Tchaikovsky, of course, is a master of writing waltz and ballet, and so he brings in a lot of those dance motions into his music, and how all 4 movements has a totally different emotional journey, from the sad waltz to the playful scherzo, and also this really lyrical and beautiful slow movement, and to the triumphant finale. So it's just a great piece.
We're talking about the Missoula Symphony concerts this weekend. Denison Theater, 7:30 tomorrow night, and a Sunday matinee at 3 p.m. Amit Peled, our cellist, who's here. You perform a number of the great cello works with orchestras and have for many times. I remember talking with you. I'm not remembering exactly what you played, but I know this is something that you do as part of your repertoire regularly. Can you say a few words about this piece by Anna Klein and this dance for orchestra and cello?
Yeah, so first, you're right. As a cellist, if you're lucky and people ask you to play, you end up playing about 10 big concertos. And I don't complain because they're all great. I remember once having a lesson years ago with my teacher, with Bernard Greenhouse from Beaux-Arts Trio on the Dvořák Concerto, which I played here last in Missoula. And in the lesson he said, Amit, by this time I played it about 250 times. And I thought, well, that's not much. But then I went home and thought, 250 times you played one concerto? Wait, how many times have I played the Dvořák? Back then it was like 2 or 3. So we play them a lot, but we dive into masterpieces, so we never get bored. I have to say that Anna Klein dance is a masterpiece. I'm sure it will stay. Normally, when new commission pieces are arriving to the world, and I've done that myself as well, we play it, we premiere it. We do an East Coast premiere, a West Coast premiere, a Midwest premiere. We try to prolong it as much as we can, but then usually it dies. And let alone that another cellist will take the piece and learn it and play. So with dance, it was written for Inbal Segev, who is a childhood friend of mine from Israel, a wonderful cellist. And Anne Klein herself plays the cello. So she knows the instrument well. And it's like winning the lottery. Everything came together. The cellist who premiered it, the composer, the recording that they did right after with Marian Alsop and the BBC or London Symphony. So everything became together. It's like winning the lottery. And now I know at least 10 really well-known cellists who have learned it already and performed it. So I'm really happy for our repertoire that maybe instead of 10, it will be 11.
What a great thing to be bringing new music into the world. And I understand completely what you're saying, too, about not everything has a life beyond its origination and commission, right? Mm-hmm. And the new music, we always love to have new things brought into the world, and the more people you can share them with.
Absolutely.
It's great. Well, thank you so much for being here and for playing for us today. We're talking about the Missoula Symphony concerts this weekend. Music by John Adams, Anna Klein, Johannes Brahms, and Tchaikovsky as well on the program. Saturday night, 7:30, and a Sunday matinee at 3. You got one more thing you can play for us today. What are you going to play next?
Yeah, I thought with Chris' approval to play the main theme from Schindler's List. And the reason behind it, well, first is just gorgeous melody, but also to show how, with a new instrument, new old instrument, and with a new piece, how our voice can become the voice of the instrument or the voice of the piece. John Williams' music, of course, is American, but this theme is very Jewish-oriented, and I, coming from Israel, means a lot to me. So how one can take a cello through the Swan and the Bach Suite, through Dance by Anna Klein, and end up with my own original DNA voice, which is Jewish music. So we'll end the show with Schindler's List by John Williams.
This is live from Studio B here at Montana Public Radio. the main theme from Schindler's List. Music by John Williams there. Performed live in our studios this afternoon. Amit Peled, cellist, is with us, and Christopher Hahn at the piano. Thanks to all three of you, Julia Tai here as well as part of the concert weekend. We've got the wonderful Saturday night usual performance and also a Sunday matinee for folks to choose from, MissoulaSymphony.org. Are you playing as part of the orchestra this weekend too?
I actually deferred to my graduate student, Jack Decimal, because he's fantastic. Great. I have a concert on Tuesday, so I figured I'd give him a...
Okay.
It's good for him.
Where's your concert?
We're doing a Montana piano trio. So Adam Collins, cellist, principal cello, Margaret Baldridge, principal violin, have a concert with me on Tuesday. We're doing the Mendelssohn C minor and the Shostakovich E minor piano trios.
Is that here on the UM campus in Missoula too?
Yeah, it'll be in their music recital hall, 7:30 on Tuesday.
Okay.
So those guys are working overtime. They're unbelievable. They're such great colleagues,
wonderful.
Great musicians. I'm just honored to have the opportunity.
Well, that's great. And I'm glad we were able to mention that for folks as well.
Thank you.
So this concert is called Dance, and I know it's going to be a fun weekend for you too, Julia, to share this music with everyone. Music this weekend that includes music by John Adams and Anna Klein, Johannes Brahms, and Tchaikovsky. You can get information at MissoulaSymphony.org. The concerts are tomorrow night, Saturday the 1st at 7:30, a Sunday matinee at 3 p.m. as well. Our cellist, Amit Peled, and the both of you as well. Thanks so much for coming by our studios today.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
So glad to have you here. Thanks as well to our piano tuner and technician, Kyle Curtis. Video production today was by Jay Bradley with assistance from Jake Williams. Thanks to Chris Moyles and to Bryan Ramirez, who's in master control this afternoon. Our session was produced and mixed by Jake Birch. Saxon Holbrook is the technical director, and Ann Hostler, the MTPR general manager. I'm Michael Marsolek. This has been another live from Studio B session here on MTPR. Wherever you are, thanks for listening.